Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And we are back from our short break to get into our business bookend. And this week's book is Ninja Selling. Jay, without any further ado there, you take it. And what are your takeaways from this one? Why is it such a good book that people need to be aware of?
Well, if you're in any sort of sales process, and we've talked about some stuff on previous episodes of how to make your business more human. So I think Nick Shelton did an amazing job with that. Go check out his the time that he was on. We talked about his book, but rehumanizing. So kind of taking away the biggest thing that I took away from it was getting away from just being in a business and instead running your business the way that you want to actually run it, especially in
It is possible.
So yeah, it's Nick and I can attest to doing things that you enjoy. I mean, this podcast is one of them. And we're starting to see more and more results for our business, which was nice. It's not the main reason why we do it. We just love doing this, but it's always good when you can rehumanize and actually do things in your business that still help it grow, while at the same time making a better connection to the people that you're wanting to work with. The morning routine of working on your business and then working in your business in the afternoon. I got those in the right sequence, right, Nick?
Yep.
Yeah, it sounded right. But working on your business, growing your business in the morning, doing things like writing a letter. Like, when was the last time you received a handwritten anything? Just to, I believe they suggest 5, if I'm not mistaken.
2 a day.
2 a day?
Yep.
And that's even easier. I don't know where I got 5. But yeah, the 2 letters a day to people, and just say
5 days a week.
thank you to them. 5 days a week. So it's 10 a week. If you do that, say 50 weeks a year, then you're looking at, oh gosh, it's a good thing I don't do math for my job every day. What is that? 10 times. So that's 500. That's 500. Yeah. There's too many numbers I was putting in there that didn't need to be. But yeah, so 500 letters a year, that's going to move your business, whether you want it to or not. And it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be, about business. You're not asking for their business in these. You're just reaching out to them and saying thank you, or asking them how they're doing. Tell them that you thought of them. Not these crazy, hey, are you interested
in a while? Yeah.
Interested in insurance? Have you had your insurance looked at? I use insurance a lot for bad salespeople, because insurance people are probably the worst salespeople, because the cycle of when you're going to renew your insurance and probably go somewhere else is so short that they don't seem to give a heck. Like, someone else will move to me. You'll probably go somewhere else, is what it is. If you have that mentality, then stop watching this. Like, we will never give you anything that is a quick fix. But if that sounds like a better way to run your business and you want to do that, Ninja Selling gives you that awesome system too. Nick, I know that you implement quite a few of these things that, what is his name? Larry
Kendall.
Larry Kendall.
Yep.
Yeah. Of the group out in Fort Collins, Colorado, just north.
Yep.
I know that you implement quite a few of the things that this book talks about,
right?
Whether before or after reading it, I'm not sure, but what are some of the things that you implement daily, and what do you like most about it, and what do you take away from it?
Yeah, it's probably a top 5 book for me, for sure, that I've come across. And from a business standpoint, from a life standpoint, you touched on a few of the things. To expand on that a little bit, repeatable. They really focus on creating repeatable processes for what you do, because once it's repeatable, it's not by accident. I can ask you, how did you do that? And you'll be like, I don't even remember, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Right. And it's having that piece of it, because I think so many of us, and again, this is not just for those in sales, it's really any line of work. It becomes challenging sometimes to replicate what you do well. And they've got a lot of science. So it's not just picking something out of the cloud and be like, oh, that sounds really good. I think we're going to try that. Virtually everything Ninja Selling is based upon is proven scientifically. So there's a lot of purpose and thought behind what they do and the order they do it, not skipping things. They reference a recipe. Often, if you're making cookies and you take things out of order or you miss an ingredient, you're not going to come up with the same outcome, right?
No.
And what we do in our business is no different. So that's the whole purpose of having a repeatable process for everything you do. And I've come to appreciate that quite a bit, as well as the idea. Here's a scientific piece of it, and one snippet is the law of procession, which is bodies in motion tend to work off of each other. So they're big on what we think about expands, right? When we put ourselves in a victim mindset of this never happens and that always happens to me, what tends to happen is you recognize more of that stuff. So you
Yep.
reiterate that self-talk to yourself, and now another question that they'll pose is the world a nice place? Very simple question, but it depends what your perspective is. If you're watching certain things on TV all the time that are negative, you probably don't think too highly of our world. And if your perspective and you choose to surround yourself with different individuals, things you read, you probably tend to think this world is a good place to be in. Um, so again, I think there's a lot of truth to that, and where our choices lead us.
Yep.
Um, I'll kind of sum up things on this third point, and that is I really appreciate the idea that you can navigate a sales specific industry without having a lot of the time and possession when it comes to talking.
Yeah.
Um, so that they really pride themselves on it. Doesn't matter if you see yourself as an introvert or extrovert. Um, it just doesn't matter. It's a process that's suitable for anyone and everyone. And give you an example. They like to they like to lead conversations through questions. So I might say, "Hey Jay, if there's a mismatch in price, what are you going to do as a prospective buyer?"
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's a brilliant question because I'm not trying to make you think that my opinion is the right opinion. I'm not trying to convince you, Jay, you really need to do this right now, bro, because if you don't, this is not going to be there tomorrow. And now I put you under pressure. Now you're just like, okay, right? And
Yeah.
and next week you might very well hate me for that. And you're just like, well, Nick told me, right? Versus I'm posing that question to you. Hey, if there's a mismatch in price, what are you going to do? And you might come back with, heck, if I know, like, what are my options? Well, do you have family or friends that can help you?
Yeah.
You know that answer. I don't know that answer. Are you willing to drive a little bit farther to get the things you want?
Yep.
Again, I don't need to answer that. You need to answer that question. Um, are you willing to give up any of the things you say you might want? Are you willing to give up that extra bedroom? Are you willing to give up the turnkey expectation that you want? Like,
Yeah.
again, I'm not trying to weasel my way into convincing you of anything. I'm just posing questions to you,
Yep.
right? And then once you tell me, well, Nick, I just heard this market's crazy. Jay, tell me more about that. Like,
Yeah.
what have you heard? Versus me saying, I know it's so wild and I don't know what we're gonna do. And
Yeah.
and there again, it's a repeatable
Good
process.
luck. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a repeatable process. You're posing questions. It's more of an interview versus me trying to sell you anything. It's me trying to get to know you. Then that's what I'll conclude with. It's relationship based.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I think a lot of people are in sales spaces or in business in general, and it becomes
Yep.
a transaction real quick. You're just like, okay, thank you. Have a good day. Can I help? And who's next, please? And you never know anybody.
Through the
Uh,
turnstiles. Yep.
yeah.
On to the next one, on to the next one. And we've been referencing how even people not in the sales space, but still in the sales space, um, you just don't know it. Uh can benefit from something like this. I mean, just look at the people that are currently in HR trying to hire someone else. Goodness gracious. I'm sure everything that Nick just said, you could do that exact same thing. And you're going to have much better results and have a lot happier people versus just, oh, I have 50 applications in front of me. They're all just going to ask me for how much money is it going to be making? Do you have benefits? No. Okay. And so if that's your mentality too for that process, then of course people are going to track your company and you and be like, it was all about money to them, which made me clearly think not who I want to work with versus what's important to you in a company.
Yep.
We'll give you our numbers for what your salary will be, but if there is someone offering a higher amount, or if there's a difference in salary, what kind of discussion do you want to have? Like, is it more important for having a shorter drive that we can give you versus the other company, working remotely? So see how I can turn that just so easily from, hey, this is just a quick transaction, versus, no, I'm going to see how best to serve this person. Um, and that can be applied in anything and everything, especially if you're a small business owner.
Yep.
If you're trying to compete with price, and this is something that I always talk to, is if you're trying to compete with just price, it's just a race to the bottom, and you're now competing with the bigger people in your industry, whoever
Yep.
they may be. So the only way to differentiate yourself, and differentiate yourself in a way that matters versus some stupid promo or some gimmick, is going to be, how can I make our relationship more human and connect with this person on a different level than just this transaction.
Right.
So
You
yeah,
alluded to price real quick, because I gave an example on the buyer side. What will you do if there's a mismatch in price? Let's flip to the seller side. What are you going to do, Jay, if you're trying to sell the house? And this is a question I pose in my seller consultations. What are you going to do if the home's not sold by, and we'll just play hypothetical, a month from now? Again, it's
yeah,
posing a question to you and saying, what's your plan B? Right? Because I want to know from you, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk about the price and lowering it? Do you want to say, no problem, we'll go month two at the
yeah,
same price? Like, but it matters who says it,
yeah,
right? And if you as a seller are dictating, Nick, this is what we need to do. If it's not sold by this date, that's you making the decision, not me trying to drive to be like, we really need to talk about doing this if this doesn't happen. And now, again,
yeah,
it matters who says it. Now it's, well, Nick, you told me, versus, hey, Jay, we had that conversation. This is what you said we wanted to do. Now we're at that time. We didn't want to be, but we are. Just want to confirm you're good with that. What were you
yeah.
going to say?
And with that too, especially, I mean, using just the real estate thing, and this again can be, I'm using real estate as the example, but this can easily be applied to anything and everything, by the importance of presenting a question like that. Where do you want to be if we get to this point? What do you want to have happen? Because I mean, look at real estate right now. Interest rates in this last week have jumped up between a quarter to a 0.5%. So some of these people that were under contract that didn't lock in their interest rate quick enough, they now don't qualify for that house. So that seller in this super hot market of Denver, Colorado, um, now they're already a few weeks into this contract. The lender can no longer give them the deal that they were promising. And so now these people don't qualify for this house. And so now those sellers need to have that plan of, hey, if we're still in the market at a month out, like, what does that look like? And just for perspective, in Denver, Colorado, just in the last 7 days, 350 houses went back on the market because they fell through.
Wow.
They were under contract, they fell through.
Yep.
It's like, and that's in the hottest market that anyone's ever seen.
Yeah.
So now just put that into any sort of business, and understand that, whatever that crazy thing is, hey, we can repair your fence, we can replace that fence by the end of March. But if we can't because of supply chain issues, or if lumber prices go up, what do you want to do? Do we need to revisit how we're building this fence? Do we need to revisit what kind of materials you want to use? Like, see how it can easily be applied to so many other industries than just real estate. And that's really where the power of ninja selling
Yep.
comes from.
Yep. I'll conclude with this point because there's a lot of good points within this, and it's not giving everything, but it's giving one more. Showing is better than telling,
Yeah.
right? I think so many, especially in our space, in the sales space, we try to describe so many things. If you just listen to me and by minute one, you've tuned me out, right? Versus they pride ninja selling the concept, and what they're known for is, let me show you what that looks like. Let me show you what houses have done for the last 30 days from
Yep.
list price to sale price. Let me show you where we're looking to go. Let's get a calendar out to make sure you and I are talking about the same thing. So you're not thinking, yeah, that's a far off. Well, what's far off? Is a week far off? Is 2 months far off? Like, that's a relative term that gets misconstrued if you don't, again, show. Let's look at a calendar. Okay, you need to be out by when? June 28th? Okay, you need to sell by July 25th. Now you're talking about hard dates with a calendar in front of you. And again, showing is better than telling. I think, again, just another detail that separates this book and this whole concept of why it's different versus just
Yeah.
any other thing, and it's just the flavor of the month. Um,
Yep.
it's transformed lives is the reality of it, and not negatively.
Yeah. Yeah. Systems are important.
Yeah.
I live and die by them, and it's just in sales, and in the sales process is just so you just hear it all the time of, how you can make a quick sale here or do this one simple thing and you'll get X amount of return on it in the first X amount of days. And it's just like, yeah, but is it consistent?
Yeah.
Like, is that something that I can do repeatedly? It's like, oh no, I can only do that once a year.
Yep.
Well, like, what does that actually mean from business then versus something that's a everyday, do your business in this way,
Yep.
and you'll see good things happen. So, yeah, I love talking about ninja selling. Worked with some of the people up there over at the group, all great people. Yeah, otherwise, that's all I have this week, Nick. Thanks again for joining me on episode, dear God, what is it, 18?
Yep.
The big 1-8. We are officially off to college, or this we can smoke but not drink alcohol.
Right.
So, Nick, thanks again, and I'll let you lead us right out of this week. And thanks everyone for watching, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Deal. Guys, as Jay said, thank you for listening or watching wherever you might be listening or watching from. So, and depending on when and where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And like I said, we'll catch you same bat time, same bat place here next week. Have a good one.